The first thing that a brand needs to do is to be true to itself. Don't try to tell a story which is not you. And it's not very easy sometimes for the brand to really understand what is the essence of the brand, what is the truth, okay? But it's a first probably fundamental thing. The second part is completely, I think, connected to what you're saying, Matthew, is connect to something people can relate to and which is a human motives. And that can be rooted into biology. And there are many research around that, but there is, for example, the wheel of motive existing that tells us that there are 12 fundamental motives that are driving us, whatever race, place, where we live, time, etc. And those motives, to quote a few of them, are around caring for people, being explorer, wanting to grow, wanting to feel safe, to transform. If a brand starts to connect with one of those motives and 12 or whatever, I think you start to speak a language which is rooted to everyone. Everybody will understand that. And the third part is a plot. The story is how you bring that to life. And the way you do it will create the connection to the emotion. And I think to your point, you can create tension in many ways, but at a point you need to have some consistency between the cues you're using and the message you want to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite fundamental. If I think about some brands, and I've thought about a few ones, let's think about Jeep. I think Jeep is, the message from the brand, they want to feel free, make us feel free. The motive that it supports, it's an explore motive. Okay, so we want to be explorer and it's a tool to explore. But the way they bring it to life is sometimes creating a tension between daily life, where we live, and this motive to explore, showing sometimes people are looking at pictures about wildlife, okay, bringing it to life with colors like blue or green that are close to nature, or using words like freedom. So I think it's very important for a brand to think about that, and it's completely connected to what you're saying. But very often when you're working on a brand and I think in marketing, you tend to lose that. We have a lot of pressure around us. Pressure for hyper segmentation, to create new. Sometimes we have a lot of pressure. Your measure on you, okay, or pressure on profit, on occupy the shelf. And when you start to do that, you might lose what is your essence, what you want to stand for. You lose focus, and at the end, you might take the risk to confuse consumers, lose meaning, and at the end, lose consumers. So I think back to the discussion, I think having a clear message, authenticity, which is what is a brand, rooted to something that people can connect to, which are connected to human motives, and bringing it in the way which is consistent and creating this tension that drives the emotion, I think is so critical.
For coming from a person that's owned 4 Jeeps in a row, I would say that yes, I talk about this when I do my presentations, that the thing that enticed me to buy my Jeep was because of the images of people climbing mountains and crashing through rivers, and that dealer, the car dealer, when I came in that first day and asking me, do I own a Jeep? And I said, no. And he said, oh, I own a Jeep. And he said, I go off-roading every weekend. I put in a CD of my favorite Indiana Jones music, and I feel like I'm on an adventure. I didn't care if it was, the #1 rollover vehicle in America or the worst gas mileage. I was like, I want that thing. And I'm 4 Jeeps in. And, you were also absolutely right about the theme. And after I come up with the hook for any kind of length story, the next thing I always think about is the theme. I always think about, how do I want people to feel at the end? Gary, you talked about your connection with Star Wars. I figured we're around the same age because, when 1977, seeing Star Wars, I was so moved at the end when I went to see that film with my dad. But you know what? That feeling you get when you leave a film or you're done watching a TV show or reading a book, that feeling you're left with at the end, that feeling is the theme. what was the theme of the story? How did it make you feel? And, you know, what we call them is universal themes. Those universal themes that hold us all together as people, like we all desire love. It's universal. If anybody doesn't desire love, please let me know. But desiring love and safety and freedom, to be adventurous. When you look at all those Pixar films, we purposely have a theme in every one of them. Like WALL-E, great sci-fi film, you know, don't destroy our planet. But in the essence, it's all about the last robot on Earth that wants to fall in love. The movie Brave is about this girl who doesn't want to be the queen. She wants to have the freedom to choose her own fate. Or Finding Nemo, about a dad who wants to keep his only child safe. We know as filmmakers that if you pick a theme that people can relate to, you can weave an interesting plot and characters and location and everything around it. But if you have the theme, people are going to be into it, and they're going to feel that theme when the story is over. So I know I sound overly passionate, but it's it's true.
Yeah, and the themes you mentioned, they connect with what Arnaud was talking about as the motives, right? They're the same. It's universally what drives human behavior. So it's really rooted in our brain. And
I bought that Jeep because I wanted to have that feeling of I can be adventurous.
You bought that Jeep the same reason almost everybody buys everything. The amount of people that buy things on rational decisions is very low.